I'm so sorry.
I am so sorry, everybody. Looks like we were without audio. Thanks, Anna, for letting me know. So we'll start again the reading, the harmonization text for today, Behind Jesus. And as they were leading him away, they seized one Simon, a Cyrene, who had come in front of the country, and they put the cross on his shoulder so as to carry it behind Jesus. Luke chapter 23, verses 26. The crowd was surrounded. The master on his final day was huge. It included the impenitent idlers of the world, the champions of usury, the mockers, the ignorant, the weak minds that recognized Christ's superiority and were afraid to stand up for his convictions. The waving friends of the gospel, the cowardly witnesses, the beneficiaries of the divine physician, who hid themselves in fear, afraid of death. But a foreigner, forced by the people, accepted the cross, although constrainedly, and carried it following behind Jesus. The lesson, however, would be quartered to the centuries of the future. The world is still an enormous Jerusalem, congregating people of wildest variety of nuances. But if you draw near to the gospel with sincerity and fervor, they will lay the cross on your heart. From then on, you will be compelled to make major demonstrations of selfishness. Very few will notice your exhaustion and anguish. And in spite of your status as a servant who has the same problems as anyone else, they will expect from you displays of humility, endurance, heroism, and loyalty to the good. Endurance and toil, your eyes turned toward the divine light, invisible torrents from heavenly springs will descend from the on high upon your spirit, and you shall overcome valiantly. For now, the cross is still a sign of faithful disciples. If you do not bear witness through the masks of responsibility, if you do not bear witness through the marks of responsibility, toil, sacrifice, and spiritual growth, it may be that you do love the masters deeply, but it is almost certain that you still have not joined him in the redemptive journey. Therefore, let us bless our cross and fiercely follow behind him, seeking the victory of love and eternal resurrection. Very well. Let us pray. Dear Father, We thank you for being here today, all together, gathered, devoting our time to prayer, to instructing ourselves, and share this beautiful fraternity this group has been developing throughout the last 5 years. Dear Father, enlighten our meeting today, enlighten the houses, the homes that are watching us. May they persevere in the gospel at home. May Jesus be invited to everyone's house. And now on, we use him as our model and guide of the family as well. Dear Jesus, be with us. Send your beautiful angels to everyone's homes in Calgary and wherever you are, so then we can find in you, dear Master, the love that our family needs so much. So be it. Very well, let me turn off this. It's like all right. Well, first of all, I would love to send my compliments to the Brazilian fathers, since it's Father's Day in Brazil. You deserve. Family is always an important piece of our current existence. And today, nonetheless, we will be talking about family, because Gospel at Home is all about family. And to start, I would love to hear from you guys. Please join us in the chat on YouTube and in the chat on Facebook. I will be trying to answer all the questions as best as I can. And I will also try to get you guys more engaged today, so then we can find more reason for why the gospel at home is so important. Oh my God. Just a second, my cell phone is not helping too much as well today. All right. I hope you can hear now, Renata. Thanks. For that, if you would like to join me, how is this question sound to you? Have I been inviting Jesus to come in my home? While you think about it, this lecture is inspired by the practical course of the Fraternity in the Spiritist Centers from the Projeto Espiritizar, from the Brazilian Mato Grosso Spiritist Federation, and the guidelines to the Spiritist Center from the Brazilian Spiritist Federation. Jane, our objective today is to encourage everyone to do the study of gospel at home, to practice, to feel it, better understand it, so then it will lead us, the whole family, to moral improvement. My dear friends, as we frequently do here, I would like to introduce some questions about the subject today, so we might reflect a little bit more the importance of the gospel at home? Is it a once a week meeting that you are more interested, or is it something that you have been trying deeply to embrace in your daily life? Do you embrace the gospel of Jesus in your daily life? How often do you invite Jesus to come to your home? Is it weekly? Is it monthly? Is it daily? And when we say invite Jesus, it's basically talking with him, praying with him. Okay? Just to clarify, maybe people might think that we're inviting the being that has disincarnated 2,000 years ago. Do you encourage your family members to study and practice the gospel teachings? And it doesn't matter if you live alone. You can still encourage your family. Pretty sure most of us still have brothers and sisters, still have parents, still have grandparents, have other kind of family. Do you encourage them to study the gospel at home, even though they don't live with you? Very well. What is the gospel at home? Many of us might be making this question: is it just another prayer as the Catholics do, as the just see if there are questions here, just 1 second. No. How do we understand the gospel at home? Is it just another prayer, or is a special cult? Is there anything like this? So let's see what the Brazilian Spiritist Federation says. It is a weekly family meeting in a day and an hour already established for the study of the gospel in the light of the Spiritist doctrine and to pray together. So, for this, it's important for us to reflect. It is a meeting. There is something, an appointment. We do have the responsibility with this meeting. So it's not just a prayer that, oh, everybody's at home and then let's do a normal prayer. It's something that is organized. And why is it organized? Mainly because of this. Also known as the Christian home cult, the study of the gospel is at the same time a fraternal meeting in which the spiritual family and others interested in the group's moral progress participate. Many spirits take this opportunity to clarify themselves among us. And this is very important. Why the responsibility with a meeting? If we are talking about that our spiritual family join us, if we are talking that others interested in our moral advancement, in other words, our guardian angel, spirits that we have contact since other incarnations, spirits that really care about us, even the mentors of the Spiritist Center, they need to know there is a frequency, there is some kind of commitment as part of the family, so we all get together at the same time, at the same moment. And the other point is there are other spirits that take that opportunity for clarification. Who are we talking about here? Those spirits that follow us, frequently called obsessors, and I would like to invite you to think that they are only our friends in necessity, in need, because if they are among our family, even in our homes, they are because of the divine justice. So if they are there, they might be finding also clarification. That's another huge benefit of the gospel at home. Why to practice the gospel at home? This is a question made by many Spiritists, since many of us still think that this is just a cult as a dogma. No. Study the gospel according to Spiritism in a disciplined form. It's a moment in family that we can study the gospel at home, and the gospel according to Spiritism together. And through our struggles in family, we can find answers together, how to behave through these struggles. To create the habit of the gospel study and family prayer. I know for many this is a common thing. Many already do it normally. But I also know that most of us still struggle to pray in family, to keep the gospel study at home. It is not something that all of us do it frequently or normally, as we are invited to do. As we remember, the gospel at home started not with Spiritism, but with Jesus. Jesus preaching in Simon Peter's home, showing us how to do, demonstrating, exempling how to do. And for those who want to understand a little more, there is a beautiful book called Gospel in the Home, Jesus in the Home, from the spirit Neo Lucio, by psychography by Francisco Xavier. And in that book is wonderful, the examples of Jesus setting up the gospel at home as a way to benefit our home. To sanitize spiritually, or spiritually sanitize the home through elevating our thoughts and feelings in prayer, peace, and fraternity. Wow. If we understand the mechanism of prayer in deep, we will see if the prayer is really coming through our hearts. It will spread vibrations through the house. It will spread this unique vibration that will sanitize all spiritual damage or issues that we might have in our home. And it will also bring us a sense of peace, fraternity. This will strengthen the bonds of the family alliance. And I have no doubt that all of us want this. We want to strengthen the bonds of the families, but above all, in the right way. In the way that lead us to the divine laws, to comprehend them, to accept them, and to live them in our lives. So this is an ultimate point that we all should be pursuing. Strengthen the bonds of family alliance in our home. Who should participate? This is a normal question as well among us. Well, everyone who is in home, including children and visitors. For sure, we won't force any visitor to participate, but we can always invite, even though they're not Spiritists. We can always invite, and it's their decision to join or not. The problem is if we don't invite. So let us always think about it. If we have some visitor coming from Brazil or any other part of the world and is in our home in that day, invite them. I have an example. I was passing through a very tough moment of my life, myself and my wife. We have my wife lost one of her pregnancies, and we weren't very happy for that, for sure. We were trying to go forward, and there was a dear friend, a dear brother who was in my home that Monday, and we invited him to join us in our gospel at home. And it was so beautiful, his participation, because first he chose a beautiful text to console our hearts. That was very, very humble. The other thing, he felt inspired, and he helped us in a way that probably not even him understand how significant was that help. So invite them. You might be surprised, and they might be a tool of Jesus, of the spirituality, to have a better and more loving home. How to practice? So here we have, again, we're not trying to create any ritual or how to do it, but recommendations. Those are only recommendations we are doing. So the first one we would like to call your attention is read a harmonization message before the prayer. Why is that? It's exactly how we do here in the FSS before we start. I started specifically this meeting today. So I got a book, and in this book, The Living Spring, I chose a text, and we read this text before the meeting. So it's exactly the same what we recommend for the gospel at home. Take a harmonization text. We come from such a diverse days. I know that there are people who do their gospel at home in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening. Doesn't matter what time you choose to do it. But we come from our daily lives that is so confused sometimes, and then we just sit down and start praying. It won't work very well most of the time. So this is why this harmonization message will help us to endure in the prayer, focusing our attention in what's really necessary at that moment. And then we do the initial prayer. Once again, we can choose any of the books from the Living Spring series, or any other book that you might find short messages that will inspire the gospel to be more harmonized. Other important piece is reading and do the explanation regarding the passages of the Gospel according to Spiritism, the Gospel of Jesus, with the participation of all. And it enriches a lot the stories, the narratives that we add to this. So I will give you one example how important for me the Gospel at home is. And I received this in a practice of Gospel at home. So one day, we usually do our Gospel at home late, around 10 p.m. And back in time when my daughter was very young, she was probably 2 years old, I was praying with her before, as she was going to bed, and before our Gospel at home. And in that day I felt inspired to invite her guardian angel to be among us, among me and my wife, during our Gospel at home. And we usually open the Gospel, during that time we used to open the Gospel at home, the Gospel according to Spiritism, randomly. I don't like to say by chance, because you're gonna see there is nothing by chance in this. So as I opened the Gospel according to Spiritism, there was the prayer to the guardian angel. And in that prayer, the text that explains the prayer basically says, whenever you invite the guardian angel to be somewhere, he will be. He or she will be. And this is so important. I didn't have this exact knowledge, but was clearly that my daughter's guardian angel was there during that night. And this is important, why the Gospel according to Spiritism is so important for us during this prayer. But again, this is not a ritual or a dogma. I have to use the Gospel according to Spiritism. Once again, we recommend it. There it is, the Gospel according to Spiritism, for those who don't know. Focused vibrations may be directed to family relatives, friends, sick people, and others. After we do this, we do a vibration. We close our eyes in a prayer mode and direct our attentions. People who are in the house might be sick. People who are not joining the Gospel according, the Gospel at home, we can pray for them. People who are in another country, in another town, in another home, that brings to our hearts some feeling of praying for them. This is a great moment to that. And then a final prayer, which is a prayer from the heart. Talk with God, talk with Jesus, to call them to come to your home, so we can all together have this more enlightened environment. Here are some recommendations and comments, important ones. Again, recommendations, not mandatory, but from experience they are very important. Choose an environment in the house that best accommodates, best suit the family and the other participants. We don't want to put everyone in somewhere that people are not comfortable, or they are too comfortable and will end up sleeping. That's sometimes the danger of doing the Gospel at home laying in the bed. Sometimes we just sleep and lack to finish it. Hold the meeting of the Gospel at home weekly. For sure, if you want to do twice a week, that's fine. If you want to do more frequently, that's fine. The more prayer, the better. But we recommend weekly, especially because we know we live in such a busy life and we don't have the time to get together in a big family, for example, everyone every single day. So if everyone have the commitment of 1 day a week praying for the family, praying for the home, that's already good enough to strengthen the bonds of the family alliance in the home. And choose a day and hour previously established. As I mentioned, at my home we do at 10 p.m. on Mondays, but can do whatever you want, your family choose for, and it's important to keep committed with that. Have a cup of water or bottle to be magnetized by the spiritual benefactors. This is important. It's always good to have some water there, so if the spiritual mentors, guides, feel that we need something in our body, they will be able to also help through magnetizing that water and helping us with our health. Abstain any kind of mediumistic manifestation. This is important as well because people confuse the gospel at home with mediumistic manifestations. Even more if in the home there is a medium that can easily connect with spirits. It's important to remember there is a place for mediumistic works, and this is the Spiritist Center. We don't recommend at all doing mediumistic meetings in homes because it can be quite dangerous if the family doesn't have the knowledge how to do and control it. Invite children to participate, singing, poetry, stories, prayer, comments, according to their ability and or possibility. This is very nice and important for us to understand. We have to adapt the gospel at home when we have children participated, even teenagers. Why? Because they are not it can be quite boring for a child of 3 years old to be reading the gospel according to Spiritism for 20 minutes. And then people start getting annoyed because the kids running around or making too much noise. It's important for us to reflect how to do. And important to persevere as well, because it's not going to be the first or the second time that we will find the most love in a gospel at home as we start. Sometimes it requires a lot of patience, a lot of commitment, perseverance to get where we want. Avoid suspending the meeting because of futilities, such or unexpected visits, which should be invited to participate. As we mentioned, visitors are more than welcome to join us, but it's important not to force them, to invite. If they don't want to join, that's all right. And sometimes we have that day that there is passing a game or something that might catch my attention, and we decide to not do the gospel at home. This is not recommended at all. And if we travel and we are not in our home, we can still do it. If it's a family trip, even better. At the same time, try to get together. And if you're alone and the rest of the family is still at home, there is no problem at all to join them through WhatsApp or Skype or any Zoom meeting and work together the gospel at home. So this is important. Avoid suspending the meeting for the family good. Maintain elevated conversations before, during, and after the meeting. It's important the before, because those who persevere in Jesus Christ are often tested. And it's exactly in that day that you wanted to pray, to join a meeting, that we would find there is always the push to have a fight, to have a discussion, to have somehow something that will make us abort of doing the gospel at home. Let's try to keep the elevated conversations, even during the gospel at home. Sometimes during the clarifications regarding the gospel according to Spiritism, it might overcome some accusations. Oh, you do this, you don't do that. We are not there to criticize anybody. We are not there to point the fingers. We are there to find the solutions, to pray. And if the solution is clear and evident in that message of the gospel according to Spiritism, let's enjoy it and not discuss about it. Avoid exceeding the time of an hour for the meetings. If there are children, try to reduce this time. And this is important because sometimes there are some of us that are very talkative. And when we see the conversations becoming hours, and people who are among us start getting annoyed, and spirits who are among us might have other commitments as well to do, other appointments to attend. So as soon as we establish a day, establish an hour, it's always good as well to establish how long it will endure. And if there are children, we always recommend try to do it in slow. Don't to go for an hour. Try to do maybe half an hour, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, because children, even more the ones that are starting to get this routine in their lives, they might get very annoyed to be for 1 hour doing something that they're not used to. One other thing that I would like to recommend as well for the kids is movies. For example, in our home we have already passed in Portuguese and in English the Jesus life story. So there are many in YouTube, many stories. We chose one and we followed, but we didn't watch for sure the whole movie, which is 1 hour and something or 2 hours in one meeting. We watched little pieces of the movie every week, and we stop there and start talking with the kids about this. What do you think about this that Jesus did, and etc. This also helps a lot to catch their attention and help them to reflect about Jesus' life, which is nothing more than the gospel. Reflecting about Jesus' life with the kids. The texts for reading and reflection can be found in books such as The Gospel According to Spiritism, The Gospel at Home, Jesus in the Home is not at home, it's Jesus in the Home, and other characterized books that study the Christian morality in the light of Spiritism. So there are many books, and we always recommend a good Spiritist book to make sure that the reflections will be elevated. So now that I kind of presented what it is, how is it done, and the importance of it, I would like to bring you a text that's in the Gospel according to Spiritism, in the chapter 27, Intelligible Prayers. In this wonderful text, Kardec brings us reflections, important reflections of the prayer and how to pray. So bear with me, let's read together and reflect a little bit more about this text. I am going a little bit fast because we have those delays in the beginning of the meeting. I'm so sorry. A prayer is only as good as thought through thought connected with it. And it is impossible to connect with a thought that is not understood, because whatever is not understood cannot touch our soul. This brings an important reflection. This triad that I am presenting here, this Trinity, knowledge, feeling, and living, are fully connected to prayer. Because I might understand what is a prayer, I might know what is a prayer, but I truly feel the prayer. Does the prayer comes through my heart? And if so, we will be living that moment. And this is what Kardec is mentioning in this piece. A good prayer is the one that touches the soul through living, feeling, and knowing the prayer. For most people, prayers spoken in incomprehensive language are only a group of words that say nothing to the Spirit. In order for prayer to touch, each word must reveal an idea. And if one doesn't understand it, it cannot reveal anything. Important. Simple words from the heart, and they address to something important. Gratitude, something the family is in need, and to praise God for all that we have. One repeats it as a simple formula that has more or less virtue according to the number of times it is repeated. Many pray as an obligation, others as a habit. This is why they believe they are forgiven after they have said a prayer for a determined number of times and in such an order. God reads the deepest of the heart and sees the thoughts and sincerity. And it is to demean God to believe that God is more impressed by the form than the depth. My dear friends, above all, the gospel at home is a moment of encounter Jesus in our home. It's a moment that we open our hearts, we pray sincerely, We read sincerely the teachings, we watch sincerely the teachings, and God will be with us, because He always is. It is important, it's not the form, it's not the dogma, it's not the method, it's not the book that I am using, it's not the some kind of talisman that someone might use to pray. It's not about that. It's all about the sincerity coming from the depths of our heart, as our dear Allan Kardec tells us here. And finally, home sweet home. The home is not only the dwelling of bodies, but above all, the residence of souls. This is in the Missionaries of Light by the Spirit Alexandre, brought through the Spirit André Luiz, psychography of Francisco Xavier. My dear friends, let's persevere inviting Jesus to our homes. The moment more than ever, this exact moment that we live in, that we are compelled to be with our families, that we are invited to have a healthy relationship with our family. Let's cultivate the gospel at home, because through the gospel at home we will find the light, the fraternity, and the peace that every single one of us would like to have in our homes. So join us. If you need help to implement the gospel at home, we are here to help. The Fraternity Spiritist Society of Calgary has a program to help implement the gospel at home. We can even do it through Zoom or any other tool to meet, but we are here to help, to make sure that everyone is prepared to bring Jesus to their own homes, to their own families. Because in the end, we are all a single family. We might not live in the same home, but if we think the planet Earth is a big home, we are all together in this. So let's live Jesus. Let's praise Jesus. Let us bring Jesus to our home. Thank you very much. And I would like to check if there are questions, comments online here before we go forward. Okay, I hope dear Renata is hearing us well. Let's see. Dear Ana Carrete, the gospel at home is making a good difference in my family. Even though my husband and kids do not want to participate, I keep going. And this is great comment, and thanks Anna, because I probably forgot to mention this. If you live alone, there is nothing wrong to do the gospel at home alone. If everybody else in the home don't want to participate, you're still good doing it. Because the most important thing is our own perseverance. Do not give up. Let us pray. And through example, through a long time of example, sooner or later, their hearts are gonna be touched, because they will feel the home more healthy, the home more enlightened. So Again, if you are alone, don't waste your time not doing it. Do. Choose a time, choose a day, and keep persevering to bring Jesus to your home. I'm pretty sure that sooner or later you're gonna see the differences, as our dear Anna Carret has mentioned in her comments. Very well. I think it's 11:59, so I will go through our final prayer now. Thank you everybody for joining us, and thanks for persevering with Jesus, and keep bringing Jesus to your homes. Let's turn on the music. Let us relax and find the best connection with our guardian angel, the best connection with our spiritual family. Let's find our best connection with Jesus. Let's find our best connection with our Father, with God. Dear Father, today we found such important reflection on how to keep persevering in bringing Jesus to our homes, even in the moments of most struggle, even in the moments of most happiness. We are committed, Father, for a better world, and this better world starts in our home, in our heart's home, in our family's home, in our beautiful town, Calgary, in our beautiful planet. Dear Father, help us to find the strength to persevere with Jesus every single day of our lives, to find in the gospel the answers, to find in the gospel the love that our hearts still lack to live. Dear Jesus, be welcome, dear brother, to our homes. Be welcome to bring light to this planet that passed through one of its most challenging times. May this week we find our strength to start or to continue our gospel at home, always remembering the gospel at home is a moment of love in family. Be with us, Father. Be with us, Jesus. Be with us, guardian angels, family, spiritual family. We thank you for this wonderful opportunity, and may we find ourselves again in our homes during this week. So be it. Oh, thank you. Thank you everybody for this meeting today. I hope everyone have a wonderful Sunday and a wonderful week. And if you have any questions, any comments, please don't be shy. Just contact me through WhatsApp or emails. Most of you, I think, have it. Thank you very much.